discussion. My name is Iguma Gabriel, and I'd like to deal with an elephant before I get into trouble here. Well, yes, some of you may have heard another person by the name, you may have heard me on radio, and you're expecting that the day you see me, I am a much bigger, taller person. But no, this is the housing I come in, small package. Yes. Yes, I host a show on Radio 1 FM 90. The show is called Spectrum. And some of you have appeared there as guests. It's good to see you in person or to see you again. For the last 2 years, we've been hosting you on the phone. It's just recently that guests are now back in the studio. But yes, this is the human being, and I am privileged to be here, to moderate very critical discussion on coffee value chain. I'm sure many of us, or all of us here, are aware that coffee is the leading, cash crop in the country, bringing in millions of dollars. And as a country, we have ambitions of making it to being the third highest exporter of coffee globally. That basically means that we really have to up our game, because if we're at about 6 million bags a year, the highest, I believe, is Brazil in the range of 40 million. After Brazil is probably Vietnam in the range of 25, 26, 27 million. If we're at 6.5 million, if we want to be number 3 globally, we have to get into the teens or into the 20s. And each one of us has got critical information that can get us in that direction. Each of us has a role to play, and hopefully, as we have that this dialogue, this conversation today, we can get that knowledge, we can harness the opportunities, also look at the challenges, and come up with strategies of dealing or surmounting those challenges. I'm going to request that we rise and begin by singing the anthems, and then we will have a prayer, a quick introduction, and then we'll get into our business for the day. I'd like to request the technical team to help us with the anthems, because I've been warned that many times when I sing, I cause misery. So you won't hear me sing.
Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tulilinde, tuajirike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Uzalendo pia mshikamano, no viwe msingi wa umoja wetu, na tulinde uhuru na amani, mila zetu na desturi zetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu. Viwandani na hata mashambani, tufanye kazi sote kwa makini, tujitoe kwa hali na mali, tuijenge jumuiya bora. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you very much. If we could have a volunteer to lead us in a word of prayer. Sorry that you've already taken your seats. A volunteer.
Let's pray as we are. Loving Father, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for each one of us. We commit this meeting into your hands. We call upon you to be amongst us so that whatever we discuss is for the glory of your name. We pray believing in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen, and thank you very much. Well, we were asking for the sprayable sanitizer so that we can pass the microphone around and we introduce ourselves. And because we haven't been able to get the sprayable sanitizer, you will excuse me. I will not put you at risk by passing a microphone to everyone. So hopefully we'll get to know, yes, that one is not sprayable. That just, dispenses it like, in a way that's hard to use on the microphone. So anyway, so hopefully we'll get to know, who is in the room as we go along in the program, because there will be an opportunity for people to ask questions, to make comments. And as you do that, please remember to let us know who you are and what you do in the coffee value chain. You may even be a person who is just observing because you have heard there is money in coffee and now you want to get into it. It will also be good for us to know. And I can guarantee you there's many people along that value chain that you'll be able to meet in the room today. This very important dialogue has been organized by Siatini in partnership with the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, and would like to thank them very much for putting this together. Could we please appreciate them with a hand clap? We will be hearing from Siatini, and a little later on we will be hearing from Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Because they are the ones who've gathered us. There was an actual, purpose for doing that, and it's important to hear that even as we begin our conversation for today. But before I invite, one of the organizers to come, I'd just like to encourage us that through the course of this dialogue, let's have an actual dialogue. Like I mentioned earlier on, I believe each one of us sits with a wealth of knowledge that will contribute towards the ambitions that we have as a country as far as coffee is concerned. You just heard in our anthem, yes, the words were not there, but part of our anthem, the third stanza, talks about the blessing we have of fertile soils and the sun. Agriculture thrives on those fertile soil and good climate. We are blessed to have the kind of, weather we have as a country. And how are we benefiting from it? We have places where, for example, they're known for growing coffee. And the coffee from those particular areas, oh my goodness. Today somebody walked in a few minutes after me I think they were brewing coffee over there, and the person asked me, "Is there a coffee exhibition here?" So that's the kind of resource we have, and how do we harness it? Could be a key driver to us achieving middle income status. What do you think? Well, ladies and gentlemen, to start us off, I'd like to invite the Executive Director of Siatini, Ms. Jane Nalunga, to give opening remarks, and then I'll let you know how the rest of our program is going to unfold. Please make her feel welcome with a hand clap.
Maybe we need some sanitizer here.
Yes, we're going to get one.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We have had a coffee, haven't we? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good. On behalf of Siatini, UCDA, I would like to welcome you all to this very, very important conversation and dialogue. We want to talk about coffee. Coffee. For me, coffee is a very, very important product. No? So let us talk about coffee. In Siatini, we have a program on rural transformation, agricultural trade for rural transformation. And we believe that coffee is one of those products which is a game changer, which can be able to transform our rural areas, but also help us to increase our exports, be able to ensure that our government gets some resources. Because, we are indebted. That's a fact. We are indebted. But we believe that coffee is one of those products which can be able to help us address issues both at the rural level, but also across the value chains and up to the national level. The background to this dialogue, conversation, is that we have a Siatina program on coffee in Mbale and Mubende. And what we found out is that there is a disjointed information and actions across the value chain. You find that at that level, and we have brought some people from Mbale and Mbende can be able to talk about that. There are so many challenges across the value chain. You go to the villages, every farmer is an expert. Every farmer. We say, what are you planting? No, that's cutting D. I had never heard of cutting D, cutting C, sujui what, everybody is an expert, Then we also realized that there are challenges, even of pricing, challenges of handling the produce, handling even of how to plant coffee, to look after it, issues around value addition, issues around marketing. There are also issues around gender issues. Women are a bit marginalized in this sector. The youth, there are challenges there, so many of them. Issues around exporting of raw beans, even our government, that's one of the issues which we need to discuss. When they are planning, when you look at the current budget framework paper, they plan for bags of raw coffee. How do we change that mindset? How do we do it? So there are challenges at all those levels. Even the way we market, the way we drink our coffee. You go to most of these hotels, it's Nescafe. Then you wonder, how are we going to brand our coffee when we are selling, even in such hotels, we are selling Nescafe? Because such hotels provide tourism. Tourists coming. And when tourists coming to a country, it's a marketing coming to you. You know, instead of you going to Europe with your coffee, that the market has come to you. But what are you feeding the market? Nescafe. You know, how do we change that mindset? You go to Ethiopia, more than 70% of their coffee is consumed internally, you know, and they have branded their coffee. So how do we brand our coffee? You know, so there are so many issues of across the value chain which needs to be addressed in order to make our coffee very, very competitive. And if we don't address all those challenges, we are going to remain trapped at the bottom of the ladder when we are talking about coffee, when we are exporting coffee. So there are so many potentials. So we need to unlock those potentials. We need to ensure that we get value for our coffee. The potential is great, but we need to do certain things. It's against that background that we organized this conversation. And as Gabriel, our facilitator moderator, has pointed out, let us have a dialogue. Let us have a conversation. It's a beginning of so many other conversations which we are going to have about coffee. Because as Siatini, we are passionate about coffee. Because when you look at our exports, although gold has overtaken coffee, but coffee has very important backward and forward linkages, which gold doesn't have. And for us, we believe coffee is going to be a game changer if we address it properly. So let us have a conversation. We have tried to bring on board here the value chain actors, right from the farmers, the input dealers, you know, the middlemen, you know, all the exporters. So let us have some conversation, you know. Let us see where is the problem. And this isn't, we are not trading, we are not saying there is anybody who has done anything wrong. No. We are looking at gaps and how we can be able to address those gaps. Who should be addressing those gaps? Let us be objective in the way we put our issues across. But let us have that conversation. Let us appreciate what's going on. Because even the farmers at the beginning of the value chain want to know what's happening to the market. Why isn't the market opening up properly? And the people in the market, you know, I know my sister from Uganda Export Promotion Board maybe has challenges over the quality, over the standards, you know. So let us look at all those challenges and see how we can be able to address this issue. But at the end of the day, what we want to see is a very competitive coffee sector, where we can be able to add value, where we can be able to increase production and productivity, where we can be able to create decent jobs for our people, and especially for the women and the youth, so that we reduce on the number of people, of the youth going out there, you know, so that they can be able to see coffee as a viable business. So thank you so much, all of you, for coming. I wish all of us a very fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate her. Thank you very much, Jen, and thank you, Siatini, for convening us. These are important conversations for us to have, but if you did not convene us, we probably would not have these conversations. For those of you who have the program, and I believe most of you do, if you look at it, we were expecting opening remarks from the Managing Director of Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Unfortunately, he is not with us, and he plans to join us. Another program came up that he had to attend to, but he's promised that he will come a little later as we continue the conversation here. That basically means that we also will not be receiving his presentation on unlocking the potential, achievements, opportunities, and challenges in the coffee value chain. We're not receiving that right now. we will receive it a little later on. And it's understandable because, I explained to you that we're trying to redeem time here so that your time with us is well spent. So please continue looking forward to that presentation because he still intends to come and to make that presentation. That basically means that we're now going to skip to the panel discussion, where you're going to hear from a number of, actors in the value chain. Because of the number of seats, we do not have a space for, every segment in the value chain, but it's representative enough. And so I'd like to invite our panelists one by one, and even as I call them to the front, I'd like you to, receive them in a befitting way for each one of them. It's maybe not customary that you do that before the person even speaks, but I'd like to request that you do so. And the panelists, we have a sanitizer here. You will be sharing some of these microphones. So please, after you use the microphone, before you pass it on, please be sure to use the sanitizer. Let me test this one. Can we have this a little louder? I believe I'll be using this one so that the panelists can use the other. All right. The first person I'd like to invite is Ms. Brenda Opus. She is a senior export marketing executive, products and services. This is at Uganda Export Promotion Board. Brenda, you're welcome to the panel. Yes. I'd also like to invite Ms. Mary Jessica Nankabirwa. She's a coffee farmer from Mubende district. Mary, you're very welcome to the panel. Mr. David Sentongo from Uganda National Farmers Federation. David, welcome to the panel. David is at the back. He may need more encouragement as he comes. Those hand, yes, excellent. Jackie, Ms. Jackie Arinda, she is CEO of Jada Coffee. Yeah, Jackie, you're the one who was leading the clapping. So for you, we didn't know whether to start because you were the one who was starting us off. Do I have one more chair? No, I don't. Huh? Okay. We will be joined by the Honorable Nathan Nandala Mafabi, the chairperson of Bugisu Cooperative Union. In this, for this kind of discussion, that's what we know him as. But he is the member of parliament for Budadiri. Is it East? Budadiri West. Yes, thank you. Budadiri West constituency. And the technical team is going to make sure that we're able to communicate with him virtually. So you'll just give me a thumbs up when the Honorable Nandala Mafabi is with us. So I'd like us to start by, you have heard the people we have on the panel. I'd like to start with Mary. Mary is a farmer, a coffee farmer in Mubende. And I think it's very important for us to begin by, briefly looking at the experience, the lived experience of a Ugandan coffee farmer. Mary, could you start us off with your experience as a farmer, in the coffee sector?
Thank you very much. I'm called Nankabirwa Mary Jessica. I'm a farmer, small-scale farmer from Mubende district. Before I give you my experience, I would like to tell you that when I got an idea of becoming a farmer, I didn't know what to grow. But at that time, in Mubende district, people were most engaged in maize growing. So I also took on maize. Unfortunately, for 3 consecutive seasons, I made a loss. Yet I had invested in the little money I had got from my salary. But I didn't give up. One day as I was traveling from the garden, I boarded a vehicle where we found another person who wanted to take the same route. And that person was a coffee farmer. He had only 3 bags of coffee. And we had to go with him. When we reached somewhere where there was a store, he requested that, can we stop so that I can sell my coffee? Then later we continue. They took the coffee off. They weighed it. And at the end of the day, I saw them giving him 1,050,000. I was, oh my God, 3 bags going for 1 M. Yet for me, I've been dealing in maize, taking a full truck, and I'm like not getting even 1 million. That's when I got saved. From that day, I said, I'm going to grow coffee. Fortunately, in my district, there was a program that was giving out coffee seedlings under the government of Uganda. So I prepared my gardens. I tried to seek advice from coffee farmers, and then I planted. Up to now, I'm a coffee farmer. I think it is like 3 to 4 years ago. My experience as a farmer. At first, I didn't know where to get the seedlings. Though later, I enrolled in the OWEC program, that is Operation Wealth Creation Program, where I got the seedlings. So I started growing. But unfortunately, as I was growing, I got advice from different people. Now you're growing this coffee will not grow up quickly, you know? Oh, I was like, oh my God, now what can I do? Where can I go? I tried other means also to get other seedlings. Though both now I'm harvesting. It was not easy as someone who is beginning. Remember, you have a garden far in the village. Transporting also the seedlings is not easy. Getting labor in villages is not easy. These days, for people in the villages, do not want to work. If they work, they want piecemeal work of the day, as then work from morning up to maybe 11 you pay. But if it is, you want to engage them for an acre or plus, they are not willing. So it was also challenging as a farmer and as a worker, because I'm a government worker. Though I tried my level best, and I'm like, I'm not giving up because I have seen the way to go. Apart from unstable labor, as an individual, I faced a challenge of dry season. You know, Mubende, part of our area is in a cattle corridor. Sometimes it is hot, most especially in the dry season. So you see your coffee like it wants to wilt, you feel like getting pressure there and then. But though, with time you get rains. Another experience I have, maybe now this is like an opportunity. In our production department, we've got, at least now for 2 or 3 consecutive years, coffee shows, where you go and learn more about coffee, and then you go and implement what you have learned. So that has been a good lesson to me. Right. I'll also give you an experience of other farmers, because I'm here on behalf of what? Of farmers. Maybe we need to tackle something in that area. For the farmers in the villages, most especially the small-scale farmers, apart from growing their coffee, they have practices which I can call bad practices. Because of poverty, you find that some farmers do sell what they call in Uganda makola. They sell to others to get some money to cater for their day-to-day what? Needs. At the end of the day, when they sell, some of them are not trustworthy. They tend to go and harvest before the owner now harvests, hence leading to harvesting coffee which is not what? Ripe, which reduces the quality of coffee. And not only that, women do engage in coffee growing, but the challenge they have, they don't own land. And here, during the first activities like farming, harvesting, they are together. But when time comes for selling, men who are not in this room, they practice domestic violence. And they send off these women, beating them. At the end of the day, remember, unless you are as a family, you are together as a family, you can't bring out this activity very well throughout the what? The cycle. So somewhere, somehow, it affects us. And the youth, for them, they don't want to engage in things that take long. They want money there and then. So that affects, and the negative attitude, by the way. People want quick money. Most of them are comfortable with growing other crops, seasonal crops. That is some of the experience that I have.
All right.
And on behalf of the farmers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mary, for sharing your experience. Mary was very categorical when she spoke about, the men who you will engage your wife and your family in the planting, in the weeding, in the taking care of that coffee plantation, and at the time of harvesting, you want to do it alone. She added that those men are not here in this room. I hope that is absolutely true, because if you are here in this room, it is the Lent period. Repent. Excellent. I'd like to go over to, I'd like to come to my neighbor right here, Brenda. Yes, you have had part of the challenges that she's spoken about do touch on what you do at, the export board. But if do you engage with the farmers? That's the beginning point. I want to jump towards the end. Do you engage with the farmers so that from the very beginning they're doing the correct thing? Because if it's gotten wrong at that point, it's going to be hard to fix it, at the point of, marketing and exporting out of the country. I put one on the
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Gabriel, for that question. And like I've been introduced, I am Brenda Katarika Opus, and I work as a Senior Export Marketing Executive. I'd like, first of all, to appreciate Siatini and Uganda Coffee Development Authority for putting together this dialogue, because Uganda Export Promotion Board is at the tail end of the value chain. And like you have rightly said, our work is not possible if the beginning of the chain is not handled right. So as Export Promotion Board, we have 5 key functions, and they rotate around the markets. One is trade market information, in terms of the details that you'd require from the market. What is it that the buyers want?
what is it that we have that we can inform the buyers about. So we work around providing services on trade information. Then as an institution, we also do development and promotion of exports. Now, development involves what Gabriel is talking about. And without developing an export, at the end of the day, you have nothing to export. And because Uganda, one of our key or major exports, most of them come from the agriculture sector, we have to be able to produce the right thing for the market. So if we don't get into the gardens and actually do what we are supposed to do in the right way, we eventually get the wrong product. Now, as Export Promotion Board, we always encourage our clients or exporters to first understand the market. We've just heard from Madame Mary, and she has defined her experience and journey. Now, at the end of the day, she has given us two scenarios. One, she started with maize, and she had losses. But what was the reason why? Now, one of the reasons normally in this sector is we don't understand the market. We don't understand who is going to buy our product before we actually get into that sector or before we actually plant. So we always encourage first to understand the market requirements. Now, a lot of what we produce here, we consume, but as well export. Now, because we consume it here, we assume that what we have done for our own consumption, anybody else will buy, okay? And this, in many cases, we have found that it's actually not true. Why? Because the kind of standards in terms of the materials we use in some of the agricultural products, how we handle our products for the international markets and for our own consumption is very different. And as an institution, one of our key roles is also to work with the technical arm of production, in this case, especially Ministry of Agriculture, to ensure that as they produce, as the farmers get into their gardens to produce, they are guided to be able to produce to meet not only the local standards, but the international standards. So what is it that the fertilizer you're using? What is it that you're spraying your product with? What is it, how are you harvesting? At what point are you harvesting? So all this we need to understand right from the time we're in the farms. So as Export Promotion Board, yes, to answer your question, Gabriel, do we engage with farmers? Yes, we do. We engage with farmers in different ways. One is through such kind of platforms. But as an institution, we go out and train as well. Now, the way we train as Export Promotion Board, we don't have the agricultural technical officers with us. But what we have is the relationship with Ministry of Agriculture, the inspectors who do the checking, the extension workers. So through Ministry of Agriculture, when we put together training sessions, we then go with them and they explain this detail. And they explain that detail with the mind of the international buyer and what they require. So we have several trainings that we carry out. Then we also do trade exhibitions where we take companies out of this country to go and see what the buyers want and have that discussion. So we also take producers who have gotten to a certain level. Now, key to this is how ready are you to export? So as an institution, we also look out for companies to prepare for exports. So we have a program that we call the Export Readiness Program, which we encourage all companies interested in exports to go through. And how do you do this? We have an online assessment, which you fill, couple of questions you answer, and those then guide us to where the gaps are within your company. So I know I've spoken quite a mouthful of what it is just to explain, but yes, we do. We engage farmers. Yes.
And that's very important for us to understand. And now I would like to go to David, who is from the Uganda National Farmers Federation. You have heard what Brenda has explained. And, you know, she's emphasized that you've got to understand the market. Even before you start to, go to the garden, you've got to understand the market. You deal with the farmers, you bring the farmers together. Coffee is currently the crop that's bringing in the most revenue for the country. Do the farmers, in your experience, generally understand what the market expects of them, of our coffee, and are they living to those standards?
Thank you very much. My name is Daud Sentong. Like I've been introduced, I work with the Uganda National Farmers Federation. We are located, we have our secretariat at Nakasero Road, Road 27. That's where we have our head offices. But we have membership throughout the country through farm associations, which are generally called the district farmers associations. We have commodity-specific organizations, circles that subscribe to us, and other institutions that basically support farmers in this country. The Farmers Federation, basically its mandate lies in mobilizing, organizing, and empowering farmers. In mobilizing farmers, what we give priority is to make sure that farmers are informed before they actually go into production. So we basically show them the opportunities that are available in different value chains. And in organizing, we make sure that they organize in groups and in other forms that enable them to access the services they need to make sure that they carry on the production. This may include marketing, production, skills, and inputs that they need. But also in empowering, we make sure that they are empowered in the form of having skills. So here we make sure that the farmer associations have at least a technical person who's able to make sure that the skills that the farmer want and the information which they want, really they get access to it. So that is basically what we do at the Farmers Federation. So back to your question, do the farmers know what the market demands? It's a hard question, but I am a farmer myself of a small garden of coffee, and from my experience as the Farmers Federation, yes, to a certain extent, farmers understand what the market wants. But to take it further, whether they have the capacity to actually meet what they understand that the market demands is another question altogether. They know that the market demands a certain quality of coffee, but are they in position to actually deliver that quality of coffee with the kind of resources that are available to them, the skills that are available to them? Now, as the Farmers Federation, we play our role to inform them of basically what the market demands. But they are going to bring it back to us and, of course, the stakeholders that we work with. Yes, for me to produce a certain quality of coffee, I'm going to require this kind of resources, the materials on which we're going to dry the coffee and other things that he may not be able to afford. So as to whether they actually follow to the dot on what the market demands is another question, but to a great extent they understand what the market requires. But of course, they present their views and we try to go around the providing the alternatives, but basically putting it to them that yes, it is your obligation as a producer to make sure that the product which you put on the market is actually the one that the market demands. That is how sustainability in the sector can, can come about if you are able to offer a product that's basically in line with the demands of the market.
David,
so thank you very much. I don't know whether
yes, you have. And in your response, you've highlighted challenges of, financing and challenges of skill. Are there other challenges you have been able to identify amongst your members? Because it's important that these challenges are identified and then dealt with if the progress would like to make is actually made.
Thank you very much for that question. Recently, we've been challenged by the age category of the people who are actually participating in this value chain, especially at production. And we've been observing that if you look at the average producer of coffee, is an elderly person. And we understand why. Because probably the youth do not have the resources, production resources, in terms of land and others that are going to actually participate on that level of production. And we've been scratching our heads to find out, but of course the obvious reasons is because very many youths do not own land. And the resources that they may require to hire land may not be readily available to them. But these elders, as they progress, the farms deteriorate because they are not so vigorous to look after the farms. So what we have decided as the Farmers Federation through our youth wing is to initiate a farm succession program, which is basically looking at how do we transition these farms from the elderly to the young people, such that as one way of dealing with the challenges that youth are facing to basically get the land which they require, they are able to grow around with the farms that their parents own, and then they are sustainably passed on to the young people, such that we have a continuous process throughout the production. So that is how we are tackling, as the Farmers Federation, the challenge of the youth not effectively participating at the production. The stages, the value chain stages where we find most of the youth participating is actually at value addition. Many of them are involving themselves in processing, small scale processing and marketing of brands. If you check, where there's a lot of work going on, especially at Chulad, where young people are bringing in their packing coffee at that level and marketing through certain brands. But also the young people are the ones that basically serve as this coffee at cafes and everything. So we are trying to look at that level where youth are participating more and the challenges that are there at that level. It's basically finance and largely skills that are still hindering the youth participation, even at the level where they are participating. So largely, it rotates around the skills, finance, but also the age dynamics that is coming in. Of course, the farmer has spoken from our point, and we largely align ourselves to the challenges that farmers are facing in that light. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to go to Jackie now, because Jackie, coming from an entity that focuses on selling Ugandan-based roasted and brewed coffee, just hearing the experiences, of the farmer, the requirements, the mandate of the export promotions, and that the entity that brings farmers together to try and benefit from what they do. Could you just start by letting us know from where you sit, what your experience is, and what you hoped or what you hope can be done better from the perspective of the farmers, even before we come to, getting our coffee on international markets at a very competitive price?
Thank you very much. A very good morning to our scientists here and the viewers watching us live on CRTN Facebook and YouTube page. My name is Jacqueline Arenda, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer, Jada Coffee, Uganda. Now, when you asked me this question, I had something to say, but I said, let me go straight to your question. As Jada Coffee, yes, I started it to show the youth and the government and whoever is encouraging the youth to find jobs or to start up their own companies, to take it as an example. I don't really agree with the campaign to make everyone a farmer or to make everyone join a value chain stage when they are not ready. Because we well know that there is a culture where they will tell you coffee is gold, or they will tell you there is money in banana, there is money in this kind of business, and people will just enter the business. Like the former speaker said, that there is more to that. You need resources, you need to be skilled, and all this, if you don't have it, you will invest in your money and lose it. And this is what discourages most people to start businesses. So when I started Jada Coffee, I said, I do not have a farm. I do not have skill even to be a farmer. I don't know what it takes to grow coffee. But what can I do as Jada Coffee, or as me, as Jacqueline Arenda? I said, farmers, like he actually said, these farmers, they are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And they do not want to change. To the extent when you tell them that you can earn more if you do this, they will tell you for the past decades, I've been doing it this way. And
even my parents did it this way.
Exactly.
And it worked.
And I don't want a lot of money. You see, you people, mwino ruzungu runji, simanyi what, sijui irrigation, what, I don't need that. You even beg them to come. Maybe Siatin will tell us. When you're calling these people for such kind of dialogue, they don't come. Even workshops, they don't come. Those ones that come are the ones that have a doubt on something. So I realized that they do not want to do more. And that is why the value chain kinda is stagnant somewhere. So as Jada Coffee, I looked at myself, I said, I'm good at marketing, and I can buy coffee from these people and then follow the QC, of course, to help me do better. So what I think can be done is to understand who can do better at which stage in the value chain. If you are a farmer and you really think you cannot do marketing or you cannot process coffee, it is okay. Sell your green bean. I don't believe in pushing them, and then you push them to that, because it requires resources. You know, people say value chain, you will earn more money, but let's look at the cost of production. Do we have the resources? You have to hire experienced people for you to process this coffee, or else you will be producing. The consistency in quality is another question. So as Jada Coffee, we said, let's start online. People discouraged me and said, who sells coffee online? Are you Amazon? Who sells coffee online? No one will buy. Ugandans don't drink coffee. How will you do it? But I said, I'm going to do it. There is only one way to know whether it works or it doesn't. Thanks to the government, it is very easy to register a company. So I registered within, I think, 2 weeks. I had my license. I had everything. And then, of course, farmers. Now, when you're a woman, I didn't know when you go out to the farms to negotiate the prices, just go high immediately. And no one had told me about that until my friend from International Women Coffee Organization, Topista, told me that, Jackie, when you want to buy coffee, sometimes try sending a gentleman and see. There is a big difference. So I had not known that for, I think, about 3 months until I was at one of such kind of events. And women were complaining about it and saying that when they go to buy coffee, farmers hike prices because you're a woman. Yeah? So I started buying coffee from farmers, but they're also not consistent. One, they will give you 100 kgs today. Another day, they will give you 50. Another day, 20. Meaning they sell to whoever comes and any quality. To whoever comes to, and the biggest challenge is that there is market for coffee. Whether it is good, whether it is bad, they will sell it. So they usually even tell you, if you are not buying my coffee, there is someone that will come after you. So quality control became a challenge. I had to hire one of the officers to help me with that. And it went on very well. So I started with Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And to the farmers outside there, when you talk about Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, they are like, what is that? Does that even make sense? But it does. We are in a generation where digital platforms are the biggest. I think it is the tool that you can use. If you don't have land, if you don't have what, that's the tool you can use. You don't have money to advertise on a TV. It is very expensive to advertise on a TV. I don't know if you can even try in print. It is also very expensive. So when I joined Twitter, everyone said, no, it cannot work. But guess what? I made sales. And within 6 months, I think I felt like I was an expert. So I realized that Ugandans love coffee. They do. But the challenge is they don't know what kind of coffee should they take. For example, they will say, is it a cappuccino? Is it a latte? What is it? What kind of coffee can I take? And then some think that for you to take a cup of tea, you must have a very big machine. So with those pages, I am. We don't only post for sales, we post to educate the market that is out there, which we do not have right now, to tell them that no. You can even have a cup of coffee just like the way you do your tea. You can have it, and people say, no, but your coffee is not like Nescafe, it is not fine. But I usually ask them, your tea leaves, don't you sieve them? You do. So you can also sieve coffee. So from there, of course, Facebook was shut down. I pray the government opens it, because when Facebook was shut down, I switched to Twitter, and even Instagram, it is a bit slow, but Twitter makes sales, and then WhatsApp, and then sending messages, broadcasts. So it was working. So what am I trying to say here to summarize it? Is that Ugandans, they are not going to take something because they don't know what it is. And if there is a UCDA member here, and I'm glad there is Uganda Export Promotion Board, but I don't think that is their kind of thing, is that UCDA needs to come out and use the channels that can reach out to the generation that is going to be here. He told you farmers are in 60. Do you think they watch TikTok? No. Do you think they are on Twitter? No. But in the next 10 years, do you think we will have a population with someone without any digital account in the next decade? I'm just asking. Do you think
that's where the world is going? So understandably, we will also follow. Yes.
So if UCDA thinks that having one-on-one, I would prefer to see a billboard at Entebbe Road saying, do not leave Uganda without Ugandan coffee. What is a trip to Uganda without Ugandan coffee?
Yeah.
So that people start taking it.
Ugandan coffee as a gift that you take back from Uganda to your people.
Yes, to your people. Because even me myself, I have contacted tour and travel companies, and now I sell to them packages, and I'm like, you need to give, instead of gifting them with T-shirts, take a souvenir, like to know that this is Ugandan coffee. Because if it is outside there or it is in here, then people will take it. I had my breakfast with a cup of tea and coffee, but I didn't see the brand. I don't know even the brand. I wanted to see what kind of brand, but they were very smart to put a flask, which is okay. Yeah, so we need to first, I think, teach people that you can enter at any value chain. You don't need to be expert on the entire chain. If farmers can do their work, then there is Jeddah Coffee that can come and buy from a farmer. And if Jeddah Coffee cannot also go outside there, maybe to export, it can sell to exporters.
All right.
Yeah.
Jackie, I would like to let you know that you just earned a couple of Twitter followers because as you were talking about, you're doing all this promotion on Twitter and what have you. I saw people check their phones, including my neighbor. And so continue the good work that you're doing there. There you are, your neighbor as well. So yes, I might also start talking about my Twitter handle so that I get some followers. But part of what you spoke about is on, the quality that is expected. And it is almost impossible to expect excellent quality at the end if the inputs were not, of standard. And I'd like to come back to you, Mary. Inputs, where do they come from, and are farmers using the correct inputs, and even knowing how to take care of those at that early stage? Because if they don't, it affects the final, product.
Thank you very much. I'm lucky to come from Mubende because recently we have different programs or different interventions that are helping us to access inputs. For example, if it is seedlings, we have UCDA, we have the AWAKE program, we have Kaweri Coffee, we can access inputs as in seedlings. But we have a challenge in as far as issues of pesticides and herbicides are concerned.
And Brenda did mention that here as one of the, problems that we're having. Because if you use the wrong or, herbicides or pesticides, then it also affects what you're going to have at the end. Because
people buy from shops. Though, again, we've got...
buy from shops other than buy from? Where should they be buying from?
I think we need dealers who have quality inputs. But sometimes the farmers go to dealers who do not have quality inputs. And you don't have that technical knowledge to know which is good and which is not what? Good. But we also have now a program called SCDP, Agriculture Cluster Program, which is providing us inputs, but it provides for those who are in groups, who are in cooperatives. And some people, because of their negative attitude, do not want to join groups and cooperatives. But for those who are in cooperatives, do access those inputs using the e-voucher.
All right.
And another challenge we have as far as inputs are concerned, okay, in SCDP, we also get things like we get seeds, we get taplings, we get fertilizers, and these other things like what we can use in the gardens. Though, unfortunately, in that program, they just give you what is enough for 1 acre.
So if you have more than an acre, you've got to find the other on your own. Then you have to
go to other dealers where you're not sure whether they are giving you the right what? Inputs. Another challenge we have as farmers is, as I told you, weather changes, high price for inputs. They are not even accessible because we live in rural areas where there's impassable roads, most especially during the rainy seasons. Then the middlemen also become a what? a problem.
I've been hearing a lot about the middleman. If you're a middleman in the room right now, would you please put your hand up? Yeah, I'm told it's complicated. You're pointing at Jackie, yeah? Ah, okay.
Then,
Jackie, did you put your hand up? Oh, okay.
Another challenge is about land ownership and land fragmentation. Because at the end of the day, people have small pieces of land. You cannot go for coffee, yet you have to eat. And in Mubende, land ownership is... So you cannot go for annual crop when you don't know whether you'll be there on that land the next day. There are some of the challenges we have, and negative attitude.
Excellent.
People have negative attitude, though.
What negative attitude when it comes to coffee?
When it comes to coffee, you can tell someone, you know what, you have to dry your coffee on a tarpaulin. That one will take long for it to dry. You know, when you cover it, it will bring moisture and things of that nature.
Okay. I'd like to ask a question around quality control at the various levels, but I'm tempted to ask the question to Brenda, but I don't know who on the panel, would like to respond, because quality control has been pointed out as something that is key. And yes, not just at the very end, but, along the different levels. Brenda, would you like to take that?
Thank you very much. Now, in terms of the angle I would take, the aspect of quality control is the extent to which it affects our products in the market. Now, as far as exports are concerned, like, all the speakers have alluded to, the quality starts right in the garden, yeah? And the players along the value chain, who would be the extension workers and Minister of Agriculture would speak better to this in terms of how to ensure that we actually get the right quality. Because what she has spoken to, I know, and I can see some effort is going down to try and improve our inputs. But we get a lot of interceptions. This has not really been with coffee, but with other products, especially our fresh produce, where we get products being destroyed in the international market at the exporter's cost because he used the wrong pesticides or, handled it badly right at production. So quality control is key right across the value chain. And you can imagine the number of people who actually handled and were paid for that product which eventually gets destroyed. So we cannot run away from the importance of managing the quality aspects at any stage, especially in the agriculture sector.
All right.
Yeah.
Do we happen to have anybody in the room from the Ministry of Agriculture? We do not. Okay. Because it would be very important to understand, what's being done from that angle. Mary also talked about, circles. And okay, I'm going to come to you, and the fact that, the farmers actually do better when they come together. It would be a nice time to bring in the Honorable Nandala Mafabi, but I don't know, technical team. Has Honorable Mafabi joined? Okay, we don't have Honorable Mafabi yet. Yes, Daudi.
Thank you very much. Just to respond to your question on regulation and the new Coffee Act, National Coffee Act now, puts most of that mandate on UCDA to regulate the on and off farm activities. But of course, UCDA does not will not operate alone. Work with stakeholders that are in this sector. Farmers Federation is already working together with UCDA on the technical working group to see how most of the activities on and off-farm are regulated. But ideally, in the long run, we should not have a policeman going to regulate what is done on the farm and off-farm, which in one way or the other results into the quality. Ideally, it should be embedded within the spirit of the players. If they are able to appreciate the importance of having a good quality on the market, and then are supported to have the means to make sure that the quality is maintained. So for us as the Farmers Federation, we are not looking at policing farmers. We are looking at making sure that farmers appreciate the need to have good practices on farm, but also the players thereafter to make sure that all the processes they actually undertake may ensure that the quality of the product is maintained.
All right.
One more comment on inputs. Our observation is mainly on counterfeits of the inputs, and there is a bit of laxity in regulation on the input that eventually find themselves on the shelves of our input dealers. Which input dealers, there's a little bit of laxity in regulation on what finds itself on the market. So for us as the Farmers Federation, together with the Anti-Counterfeit Network, we're trying to push in some efforts there to see that what actually farmers are able to find on the shelves are the genuine inputs.
Right.
But also empowering the farmers to be able to identify what is fake and what is genuine.
Who should take a lead there? Because some of these things seem to be cross-cutting. Where does Ministry of Agriculture start and end? Where does Ministry of Trade start and end? Who should take a lead there?
Well, to take a lead, it will be Ministry of Agriculture. And then, but of course, because it involves trade, the Ministry of Trade would work closely with the Ministry of Agriculture, but of course together with other players, private sector, then civil society, and the farmers themselves.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me get some brief comments here. In order to streamline some of these things, policies are important, and a couple of frameworks here and there. And, you have just alluded to the amendments that were made, received both positively and negatively. What opportunities do we get there? Our policies, are they working for the betterment, or are they also a constraint on their own?
Well, to talk about the policies of Uganda, everyone in the room would agree that we are the country with some of the best policies on the universe. So as to whether those policies are actually done justice to is another story. But the policies, and the very good policies, are in place. Looking at what the new policies, they are good and they are intended. The spirit is good, but implementation of those policies is what is hampering, and this cuts across all policies. That is my honest opinion. The problem is not the policies themselves. The problem is the justice that is done on the policies. Thank you very much.
Jackie, do you want to add something? Okay, he has said it. All right. I'm looking at our time here, and I'd like to come to the plenary for some questions or comments. But before we do that, I'd like to get, we've looked at, the challenges, but some of the opportunities that, that from where you sit, you see we are not taking sufficient advantage of. I'd like each one of us to speak about those. And Jackie, I can start with you, and then we'll come towards me.
Thank you very much. Like I said, I had something to say. and every time I get an opportunity, I just wait for the moderator to ask me that question, but it didn't come. But I would like to speak to the women, to the youth outside there that want to join the coffee sector, is that most of them have been saying they have issues with registering. And I say, do not follow the propaganda of saying registering a company in this country is hard, because you've had people saying there is a lot of politics. Stop that. You just walk to UCDA, it will help you. Or you walk to URSB and ask them what it takes. So if the youth, you need to do something, please stop following a lot of social media politics or TV politics. But also to note is that the entire industry, agriculture sector, I'm glad Uganda Export Promotion Board has a representative, is that we have important changes that are happening at the global market, especially for agricultural products. And this is affecting most developing countries because the impact is huge. For example, the demand for specialty coffee is growing. And when it grows, it brings us to the QC questions in Uganda. And like you said, regulation is kind of tricky. And the moment if the regulation is tricky or is difficult, it means even the quality outside there, no one knows who is producing what and where is it going. So I totally believe and feel that Uganda Coffee Development Authority, together with the Ministry of Agriculture, they should do more of engagements in whatever way they can. They have those budgets to engage farmers, to engage every player at any stage in the value chain so that they meet the demand, the global market demand. Now, when it comes to the global market, Uganda, yes, is known for having the best coffee. They know that. But the question is, especially to those that are preaching about exporting processed coffee, there are food safety standards. And I wish UNBS can also be involved in such engagements. They need to be, I don't know at what point UNBS also comes in here, but I believe that food safety standards, leave alone the tariffs and everything, it is the greatest barrier that we have if we are to export processed coffee.
Yeah.
But even when you look at the farmers, like he said, like I told you, they are not willing to do that. Therefore, you will need more of the Jada coffee, the ones that are not farmers, but are supporting farmers, buying their green bean and taking it on board. And also when we say opportunities, what are the opportunities in the value chain? I was having a conversation with one of my friends in oil and gas, and I told them, you should stop telling us that there are opportunities in oil and gas. I'm tired of the word opportunities. I just need to be told where I'm going to sell my coffee, and I take it there. There is a whole picture of their opportunities. So what are the opportunities in the value chain? To my team seated there tweeting, I think you should specialize in marketing coffee. It's very hard. Lately, you must be a specialist in a certain field. You cannot know it all. If you're influencing for the health sector, it is not the same in coffee. So we need more of, let it be even Twitter influencers, let it be marketing. We need people that understand coffee, that when you're asked about coffee, you won't say, kano karungi, just katwari. No, you know it very well. They ask you. So if our team can specialize in marketing, then to the ones that are good at, I've seen more opportunities in packaging bags. If you have the money, just import packaging bags. You will get the market there. I'm not talking about machinery because I know most people don't have all that money. I'm speaking to the youth with their maybe 4 million or 3 million or 5 million. Start selling these packaging bags. They are very expensive. I'm shocked that the entire sector is pushing us to processing coffee, but they are not looking at the cost of processing coffee. If we cannot manage to have land, then what about the machinery that is needed to have processed coffee.
Oh.
The last one is, I heard you saying, are there middlemen here? I don't think there is any sector that can work without middlemen. That should be noted. Because, like he said, the age difference matters. And that is why you will never find a middleman that is a mzee, unless he's in NSSF looking for whatever. But middlemen are usually young, and these are people you can call at midnight. I usually call them dealers. They know where to find the market, and they will never disclose their market in any way. That you will see him on your gate saying, I need 100 bags of coffee of 60 kgs, and he will never tell you where he takes it. So we need middlemen. If you can study well and you become a middleman, well and good, but you need also to be considerate that you're not going to destroy the sector. I've had most middlemen encouraging farmers to roast not the green bean, the one that is not ripe. And that is how they destroy the sector. So the next engagement, I don't believe that we should leave out the middlemen, because they are the determinants of whether we are going to make it or not. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, I'd like to interrupt a bit because the Honorable Nandala Mafabi is now online, and you know how the network can be quite unstable on and off. So since he is clearly on now, I'd like to come to the Honorable Nandala Mafabi. I don't know if he can hear us, and ask his question as a cocktail so that, we can get his submission probably once. In case the network fails, we will have gotten it. And Honorable Mafabi, you wear a number of hats. Yes, you are the chairperson of Bugesu Cooperative Union. That cooperative union has stood as a beacon, when it comes to coffee for quite a while. So the experiences from that, you also are a legislator. And of course, from that angle, what should we be doing? And let's also receive your, opportunities that we can take advantage of, as we seek to become number 3 exporter of coffee globally as a country. Honorable Mafabi? I can't see it from here. Is he muted, or it's just a network problem? It's a network problem. All right. Honorable Mafabi, at the moment we cannot hear you. It looks like your network is still unstable.
One of our groups was fast. I got one course, and I didn't know how much.
Honorable Mafabi, you can go ahead. We were actually able to hear you there. I figure that you're using your phone. I saw, yes, Nandala's iPhone. If there's a way in which you can ignore phone calls, because that also disturbs the network quite a bit. But for a couple of seconds there, we're able to hear you well, telling us that you're in the village planting coffee. Participants, if you could just bear with us here as we try to get a secure connection with the Honorable Nandala Mafabi as a key player in the sector. One of those who has been quite visible, because we also need champions, people who we see fighting for the sector to encourage those who probably are deep in the, in the gardens, doing hard work, knowing that at various levels there's people who are making sure that they actually benefit from the sector.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can hear you, Honorable. Go right ahead. The team here, you calling him makes it worse because he's using his phone and that interrupts the network. Honorable Mafabi, we can hear you. I hope you can hear us. And if you can, please go right ahead.
Hello?
Yes, hello, we can hear you, Honorable. Please go right ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes. I was saying much better for it. I'm not going to explain. That's right now, we're launching, of course, you all understand from the farm to the consumer. The consumer and the one the player also have to be able to spread from the farm up to the last consumer. Number one, a farmer, even with the product of growth, so what do you need? You need a good soil, you need to go after the coffee, and when they are not really supplying, but you have to talk about it. But there are sometimes you have homeworks, we have to accept a coffee, we have the babies, who grow very much well by the day, well, changes. So, what is the farm? We go on straight, or we just deliver a big passport by providing the necessary technology, the necessary people, the necessary to support the farmer. Good products. From there, you come to what's happening. When you have you need to be well. First of all, you have to give an experience. We are going for us. But when the residents are there, clean them from them, clean them, right? Then you find that you better put money. You don't go there, you lose the quality of the they say the forest, if you put your force others in this quality, the quality of you get very quality. You will have more. Again, even the who don't have big enough, who don't have global technology to maintain the country, they never need to prepare themselves. Now, should be keeping country, now the sector, such a problem that still go to go their way, what is it that the black gold? Now, the farmer, or the farm, the which is at the end is the road. Now that's the conclusion for the farmer and the local level. What is going better to the ever better companies. This way I was because to the biggest standard where say you're not here. I didn't get a general of my company, but for that, maybe I can get the programs, then my general school, build for them to go where I get the best products. Of course, because of products, by the time they are products, or which are going to be, there's a product to our invited before they can move to the process. The farmer think that you also especially and the mechanism of access to finance to be able to proper all that where we can let the farmer, the farmer, this is not self-fishing the farmer, the farm. Even this middle of the coffee, for example, is property living. How do I from the farmer? Buildings and from there, the farm from the farmer, because of getting that now, we believe that again the development is that the wood should be able to regulate development, not where stop. Because the development will take energy. Our shall better, we shall take care of it, and the end of the farmer feels that the quality, middle and quality, Uganda is going down. So give it a we thought they were not and that's why we're getting a program that being done. This problem is a global. Before that, so people are now mixing with the one of the say that this at the end of it, they're going to bring down. Government is not taking because pressure. Why not? Which is why? Middle West grow. I'm sorry I think to have this problem really by the that's not there. What's here to be? When resident that one is the one putting us up. Sometimes there are you are in the next day at 70 and 80. And you're leading a response from foreigners to Uganda. Until God gets you know what they're is the building of the Palestine and Palestine. If it's one thing, and one listen, our money, and people will down with money, and the promotion of the water. We are made better. We are out of this water. We have to
Thank you very much, Honorable Nandala Mafabi. I'm not sure if you're able to hear it, but the people attending this dialogue have thanked you by clapping their hands. I'm not sure for how long the network will be able to hold, but I had asked the panel to share with us what they view as the opportunities, and we're coming to you, David.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mine, I wanted to dwell specifically on the traceability of the Ugandan coffee blend on the international market. You see, the statistics tell us that coffee exports from Uganda grew to 6.7 million bags in 2021. So all those bags find themselves somehow on the international market. But that coffee, basically, our largest destination for Ugandan coffee is EU. And what basically our coffee does there is that these countries get our coffee, which they very much know that it has a very good taste, very good, and then
taste and aroma.
Yes, and then convert it, reprocess it, and sell it as their own. So when you try to trace the Ugandan coffee on the market, on the shelves, you actually won't find it. And that's where we need to put a lot of emphasis to make sure that we develop our own brand that can be easily recognized on the market. And Uganda Promotions Board will help us here, and other players. We need to put a lot of efforts to see that the Ugandan coffee brand is recognized. We can trace it. I don't know how we can work together with the players to develop a traceability system.
All right.
From the farmers until the end of the until when it is at the shelf, when the Ugandan coffee brand can be easily recognized.
All right. I like that point that you make, and I don't know if you're able to respond to this. You have pointed out the fact that Ugandan coffee is actually taken and goes through a process and is then given another name, branded differently. The actors that do that are quite powerful. The actors have quite a bit of money. It is, in my view, from what you've explained, it would be against their interest that Ugandan coffee makes it out there as Ugandan coffee, because they are benefiting from Ugandan coffee not being identified as Ugandan coffee. How do we deal with that hurdle? And we also know that there are, companies that have come here and are foreign companies, and they're actually actively taking this coffee out as coffee from their parent countries.
I think we have already started dealing with it. The direction that UCDA took, although there were mixed feelings about our exit from the International Coffee Organization and the agreement, the National Coffee Agreement, but for us who analyze the reasons behind our exit, agree that if we are to develop the Ugandan coffee brand, we first have to isolate ourselves, deal with the issues that are surrounding the development of our brand, to make sure that when we go back now to associate with the countries in that agreement, we now have a product and a brand that we are offering. Right. We have countries who are called, who are now net exporters of coffee, yet they don't produce coffee.
Uganda and gold.
Uganda is the one that feeds them with the coffee. Look, I don't want to start mentioning countries here, but I know countries that do not actually have a lot of coffee gardens, but they are net exporters of coffee from their countries. They feed on developing countries such as Uganda to feed them with what they call now raw material. They completely eliminate our brand and then they promote their brand. So I think UCDA as a regulator, working together with stakeholders, we can develop our own brand.
All right. Your neighbor, Jackie, would like to add. Oh, you have a question? Because this becomes complicated for where you sit, right?
Yes. I didn't think that I was going to talk about ICO withdrawal, the question of ICO withdrawing, but I would like to ask him a question that if Uganda as a country, or if I can ask anyone here, you have failed to have a brand that is well known in this country, that this is Uganda's coffee. If we see government offices still buying Nescafe If we see hotels like these, where they will bring coffee in a flask without the brand being seen anywhere, then what makes you think you will swim in the ocean if you have failed to swim in a swimming pool? Also to note, I saw Daily Monitor yesterday showing that the coffee processing machines in Bushenyi have been down for 3 years. 3 years, it's not 3 days. If we can fail to regulate that in this country, then how are you going to swim in the ocean?
All right. The internal weaknesses. And thank you for calling us a swimming pool, not a pond. Some people have called, a pond.
I think just to give him just a simple response on that, I think it is our responsibility to agitate for what we want to see. And I thank her for raising that. All the points she has raised are valid. It has to start with us. It is us, the farmers, who have to demand that other players recognize our brand, recognize our efforts. It is the role of the promotions board. It is the role of the federation. It is actually the role of every player to see that we concentrate our efforts in that area. And then, because having a brand that is distinct as a Ugandan brand will benefit all of us. It will fall into the prices that Ugandan coffee is received at the international market, and eventually it will go back to the farmers. So I think it is our responsibility.
All right. And I am sure that when we come to the plenary, a number of people would actually like to respond to that and other things that have been raised as we're having this conversation. Mary?
Thank you very much. As a farmer, that now government and other development partners have come to the rescue of farmers through different interventions, including policies, programs like SCDP, small-scale irrigation, or WEC. I think we need to go an extra mile. Farmers are rural-based. People, you should also start thinking about going to rural areas. But if things are done in Kampala, including expos, exhibitions, for us, we live in rural areas. We even fear to come to Kampala. Come to us where we are. In our rural areas, we are ready to learn. That is an opportunity already. We have open hands to learning. Another thing, it's not true that farmers, we don't know anything. At least with the interventions like extension services, now we know something. But what you need to do is to know our challenges. Like, we have good policies, yes, but in which language are these policies? Can you please translate these policies to our local languages? And at the end of the day, those policies reach to us so that we can read for ourselves. We need also to do that. Farmers, not all farmers are like, they don't know to produce quality coffee. Some of us, some farmers know what to do to produce quality coffee. But what have you done to see that when you're buying coffee, for those who have produced quality coffee about at a different rate compared to those who are just producing anyhow? If I'm selling at the same market, getting the same price, when I have really produced good coffee, what's the difference between me and the other one who does not care? I think when you buy at different rates, others will scale up. They will style up. So long as you buy coffee that is good quality at different price. Another thing is that subsidize these inputs. Not all farmers are very poor that they cannot even purchase anything. Some farmers are willing to put in some little money to buy quality inputs. But then, if I don't have those inputs to buy, for example, if I want something to irrigate, I don't know where to go. Even if I go there, I don't know what is good. You know, subsidize these inputs and bring them near to us. You come up with an act, you put very many things, including that when you keeping your coffee, put it in a kutia. When is the last time did I see that kutia? Do my children even know kutia? Hoping you get me when I say a kutia.
Where you can buy it? Probably
do I know even where? My friend, I know Kavera. That's what I buy, and that's where I'll store my what? My coffee. So as you come up with those good policies, with those good laws, make sure that you at least do some nitty-gritties in some different things to make us access what you want us to do.
I hope Honorable Nandala Mafabi has been listening in, because he was quite critical in, that law there. Excellent, excellent. We're going to come to you, Honorable. Yes, Brenda.
Thank you very much. I'll go straight to the question where you asked us to highlight areas of opportunity for the coffee sector. And where I sit as Uganda Export Promotion Board, we are quite focused on promoting our processed coffee and the value-added coffee, because we realize that it has quite a market. And like one of the speakers alluded to, I mean, yes, our coffee has been going a lot to Europe, but there's a big opportunity on the African continent for our coffee. And we believe that they will be able to consume the processed coffee. So with the opening of the African Continental Free Trade Area, we believe that that's a very virgin market that we can take advantage of. End of last year, I was in South Africa, in Durban, on an activity to promote our products, and we took some value-added coffee, and this has attracted quite a lot of attention for our value-added coffee. Currently, we've had this expo going on in Dubai, and we have a point of testing coffee. And for those who have been able to visit, or for those who know what's going on, I think our coffee is taking good ground in the Middle East, and there's quite a bit of attraction. Now, that said, on the international ground areas, we have still a big opportunity locally. And I know that, in the past, we took a lot of teas. We still are a country which takes quite a bit of teas. But coffee has picked up quite a bit. And you've noticed that on every corner now there is a coffee, cafe to consume coffee. So this is a big opportunity that we should continue to encourage. As we sat here this morning, there was a small video that was running, and one of the farmers was saying, I grow coffee, but I don't take it. And I think this in itself is an opportunity that those who even grow this product are not consuming it. So what are you selling if you who is growing it cannot appreciate it? So I think that is an area of opportunity for us to consume what we produce. When you walk into a hotel like this, like Jackie was saying, find out, look at the table, what you're being served. I was at one of the functions, one of the meetings recently, and there was a Nescafe on the table. And we happened to be with the CEO of Uganda Coffee Development Authority, and he picked it and said, what is this? And he put it away. And what, the institution was challenged to bring the Ugandan coffee. So it's important that we go out, each of us go out and look out for our own products and be able to sell, because we are ambassadors of our own. If we can't sell it yourself, then why are we producing it? So we should get into consume and actually speak about our own. The other areas where we need to focus opportunities, or where the opportunities are, have already been talked about in terms of branding as a country on some of our products. I won't go down that line, but also we have representations in our embassies out there, which we are not taking advantage of. Our foreign missions in different countries do a number of programs. As I speak, I think we have an activity going on in China in terms of doing cupping and testing of coffee. And these are some of the opportunities that we should get interested in and be able to take advantage. So through our own missions, having different promotion activities to promote our own products is a great opportunity. And I encourage, the different players to pick interest in some of this. So generally, in terms of whether our coffee has a market out there, yes, it does. And we have to define the areas or the space we want to take charge of. Specialty coffees, that is a very good niche for us, which we could be able to take advantage of if we are only organized. And like you rightly say, the bottlenecks that we have, if properly sorted, then we will be able to pick the space in the international market even bigger. But if we don't sort out the bottlenecks in the production and supply end, then we still have a big challenge. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Honorable Nandala Mafabi, I know that I had gotten your opportunities. You had laid those out for us. I don't know if from listening to the colleagues, you've identified more opportunities, but also an opportunity for you to respond to some of the things that were raised, especially touching on the law and, how, whether it was consultative and it took even the farmers into consideration. Honorable Mafabi? Technical team, you can let me know if he's there. Honorable Mafabi, if you can hear us. If you could go ahead and unmute and then make your submission. Okay, we probably don't have him right now. It could be a network problem. I'd like to come to you participants for your questions, for your comments, for anything you'd like to add, from what we have discussed. I saw the ladies at that table's hands were the first to shoot up. Oh, and I am glad a number of hands are shooting up. A microphone is going to come to you. It is going to come with a sanitizer. So please, we'll start over here. The lady, I think that's green, that her hand went up first, and then we'll have her neighbor. We'll go to the back over there, then we'll come in front here, over here, and we'll end there. Oh, there's also that side, huh? Okay.
Thank you so much. My name is Florence Nasuna. I work with Advocacy Coalition for Sustainable Agriculture, AXA. Looking at the opportunities, I realized that most of the discussants have have clearly mentioned that Uganda's coffee is penetrating through the EU markets. But the reason as to this is happening is because most of these coffees grown organically. But as Uganda, we are running into so many policies. Instead of operationalizing the national organic policy to facilitate the production, export, and branding, Uganda is endowed, and we have that as our niche. So if we don't look at the operationalization of this policy, we shall end up swimming in a pond. The next issue is the implementation of the national youth strategy for employment in agriculture. We have it, but it's lying somewhere. Can we expedite this to enable youth get involved in the coffee value chain? Then finally, I'm looking at the area of regulation whereby our farmers are really laboring to do their work, but they are being betrayed by the agro input dealers, the people who are supplying the seedlings. Can this, according to the new National Coffee Act, the government, the UCDA, is mandated to enforce and also to penalize these people. If the UCDA can register the farmers, why not these other stakeholders who are dealing with the supply?
Okay.
So I feel penalty can work to help these farmers being compensated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Florence. You downgraded us to a pond. Let's use the sanitizer, and we'll have Florence's neighbor speaking next. Sorry, it ends up taking some time, but it's for your safety. Yes, please.
Thank you so much. My name is Ojoru Scovia Lindiwe. I work with the Ugandan Forum and the African Forum for Agricultural Advisory Services as a program assistant. Mine is basically a comment and maybe a few recommendations. I had one of the panelists saying that Ugandans don't take coffee. I think it's a myth because we actually do take coffee.
She referred to somebody who was on a video there, a farmer, also, okay, who said, you know, they deal in coffee, but they don't take coffee themselves.
Okay, so the actual thing is that we have companies in Uganda that process coffee, but then the issue is that when we look at the quality of coffee that we take in Uganda, it is lower compared to the quality that is exported. I actually got a chance to test the coffee that goes out of this country that is processed. It is too good compared to what we Ugandans consume. So I think we should also look at how these companies that process coffee, we should look at how they can give Ugandans the best of our own product. That is one. And then the other issue is that if we are talking about unlocking the potential of the coffee value chain, I think we are undermining the issue of youth engagement. Yes, we speak about it, but I don't think we are giving it the energy that it requires. We say that the youth are the future, and we forget that the youth are here today. And so if the youth are the future and we do not deal with the issues that affect the youth today, and yet they are the future farmers of tomorrow, so we are going to have a very big issue in the coffee value chain and agriculture at large. For example, as the youth have the biggest challenges that the youth are facing. It's the access to finance, access to land, markets, and information. So the real issue here should be is how are we going to help the youth today to deal with these issues before they become the future farmers of tomorrow? How are we helping the youth today? Well, it's a cross-cutting issue, but could we advocate for an integrated approach to help the youth? to get engaged in agriculture. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Scovia. Yes, I actually identified one of those coffee brands that is mainly made for export. And yes, that's what we take at the office. But finding it on the shelf is a miracle. You go very many times and you don't find it. The one time it comes, if you decide to go the next day, you most likely won't find it. Can we please use that sanitizer instead of the other, because the other does not spray? All right. If you could make that comment brief, because we've been at that table for quite a while.
No, I'm going to be brief. My name is Nabwas Jane Josephine. I work with a civil society organization in Vaalue called Poverty Alleviation and Community Development Foundation. My question is towards the Export Promotion Board on the issue of issuing licenses to the exporters. As I talk, Bugis Cooperative Union does not have any license to export the coffee. So that affects the farmers in the Bugis region. Another question is about the mindset of the farmers or the consumers. What I wanted, the issue is that UNBS is not here, because most of our consumers said that when they take coffee, that it affects their hearts. It increases the heartbeat of their life. So if UNBS would be here, would tell us medically whether it is taking coffee is good or bad, because that is a myth within our communities.
All right.
Even myself, as I talk.
All right. Thank you very much. Siatini, you realize that people are making proposals of further meetings and dialogues to hold. I hope you will be able to, and whoever the donor is, you can actually record this part and send it to them, because these conversations are very, very important. Well, I actually would, can we have it come in front, and then we'll go like this and end at that table there at the back. So let's come here, let's go there, and then we'll end there.
I request the moderator to allow me speak while standing. I've been sitting here for 2 hours. I'm not used to that.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. I'm George Tumuhimbise, Chairman NGO Forum Mubende. I'm a small farmer, and I think I'm concerned about the development of our country. Coffee being one of the cash crops we used to know. I think this is an opportunity to talk about it, to see how much it can contribute towards the development of our country. I want to start with something comical. We were in Mbale recently, and during the break, we went for something to drink, and on the whole menu, there was no coffee. Bugis is a coffee growing district or sub-region, and the hotel is in Mbale, but there is no coffee on the menu. So when you talk about Ugandans taking coffee, not taking coffee, it is very understood. We don't take coffee. She has said it. We think that when we take coffee, we fall sick, and it is the heart that is hurt. So we need really somebody to disabuse us of this misinformation. Me, I want to talk about the absence of government. I'm not going to talk about coffee and disregard the role of government. Does government know how many households are benefiting from coffee statistically? Now, if government knows, what is it doing about inputs for coffee, quality of coffee, markets, and how can government make policies that actually facilitate more participation of these households which are engaged in the coffee value chains? it is very disheartening that you will find that even Department of Agriculture will tell you that for a farmer to get information about how to improve coffee, it should be demand driven. Why do you exist as a department of government? We pay your salaries, we buy motorcycles, we fuel them, and you tell me that a small farmer deep in the village must call you or send you an email so that they are able to demand the services to come and advise them on how to improve coffee. So I think there is something wrong with the involvement of government.
All right.
We have an issue of who is involved in exporting coffee in Uganda. Do they have any motivation to sell our brand? Now, export promotions. How can we encourage Ugandans? Do we form cooperatives? Do we strengthen them? How do we get our brand on the world market when the person who is selling our coffee is not a Ugandan? Is not a Ugandan, is not interested in Ugandan brand, they are only interested in selling their own brand. So I think we need to look into that critically.
Okay.
So that we are able to, I'm not going to finish now, define areas of opportunity for farmers.
You may need to just make 2 more points, sir.
Okay, I'm going to make one. Let's define areas of opportunities for our farmers and let them know. Farmers should know. Let the information flow so that they are able to understand where they can capitalize their energies and benefit more from the coffee value chains. Lastly, our government. The reason the government exists is to help its people. We surrender everything, actually. We surrender everything to government. That government folds their arms and say, this is a private sector-led economy, then everybody should take care of themselves. And it becomes everyone for himself and God for us all. I'm not saying that government is totally asleep, but in terms of coffee, I think government has been sleeping. Let's look at this Chira Motors. When did it come online? How much money has been sunk in Chira Motors so that it becomes a Ugandan brand? And I even recently saw government saying, you people, you ambassadors, you must sell Chira Motors wherever you are. Do we see government telling the ambassador to sell coffee wherever they are? Look at the production of vaccines. When COVID came, you have seen money being sunk in the production of coffee. Yes, it is life, but also coffee should be taken as a priority because it takes care of many households in Uganda. I want to thank you very much for this. I want to thank Siatini for this dialogue, but I hope the next 2 dialogues, one will be in Mubende, another one will be in Mbale, before we come back to Kampala. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. I think I should also lobby that when we go to Mubende or, Mbale, that even me, I am taken. All right.
Thank you, moderator. My name is Patrick Soita. I'm the chairperson of Mbale Farmers Association, an affiliate of Uganda National Farmers Federation. I'm speaking about 2 things only. One is I think I will call it the over-liberalization of the coffee sector. When the government liberalized the activities within the coffee sector, they forgot that they were creating too many, that word being used, the middlemen. These people are now, our coffee in Mbale is supposed to be pulped. We don't just sell coffee from the garden. We pulp it, we dry the pulped beans. But if you go to Mbale now, you'll find that these middlemen have to go right to the gardens and they buy the berries before they're even picked. That one spoils the quality because you cannot even control how it is going to be pulped, how it is going to be dried. This gentleman from Mubende has failed to tell you one thing that happened. when in front of our office in Mbale, they went there, and there's a farmer who is drying coffee there on a very, very dirty ground, and they saw the coffee there. Now, there is no way we can control such farmers, but when the selling and buying of coffee was going through the cooperatives, the system was very fine. Every cooperative society was careful to make sure they produce quality coffee that would fetch market. That is one. The second point I wanted to speak about is the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. I don't know whether in their laws and policies they have somewhere where they can start an arm that will market the coffee. Because you are there, we used to have a coffee marketing board at that level, and they were doing a good job. I don't know why they were just abandoned altogether and the thing that phased out. But they were doing a good job because there were even coffee shops in town here. You could find a coffee shop owned by Coffee Marketing Board. Now there is none. So this still goes to UCDA. Now the last point I will speak about is about the existence of our district farmers associations. They are there in every district, I'm sure. And I'm particularly touched with the provision of the knowledge, farming knowledge, and the use of agricultural inputs, especially chemicals. We give this information free for members. Our members who come for this, you will not. There was a farmer who sprayed glyphosate. This is something to kill the weeds. He sprayed it on his rice, and you know what happened. The whole thing was burnt out. But when you come, you are a member of a district farmers association, you get this information free. So I would urge the members who are not sure of which agriculture inputs dealer is giving the right products to consult their nearest Uganda, the National Farmers Association.
Okay.
At the district level. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Let's go to that table. We're going to go to that table. We're going to end there, madam. What happened to the sanitizer? All right. Unfortunately, now we're going to be a lot faster. So please pick your most important point and make it, because we need to move on.
Thank you very much, moderator. My name is Herbert Abaho. I work with an organization called Resource Rights Africa. Moderator, I feel like up to until now, the conversation has been skewed towards the production channel of the coffee value chain. And I think we have pretty much ignored the demand channel of the coffee value chain, which transforms into the conversation that has been setting up from here on the national and local content. As government, I think the government of Uganda needs to take a stance on regulating the inflow of imported coffee in the Ugandan economy. And how do you do that is for the government of Uganda to have an inward-looking, demand-driven policy. This has been done, I think, across the board in most of the sectors in the economy. It has been done in the tiles industry. Initially, Uganda was a net importer of tiles from Spain, China, and Italy. When the processing factory was constructed at Kapeka, we used our tax policy to increase the importation duties of tiles by 30%. Today, nearly no trader in Kampala or anywhere else imports tiles from Spain or Italy, because the tax is too high for you to manage to import tiles here, yet you have local processed tiles here. So that has then supported the local tiles industry
to put something on the market that is consumed locally. We also have, government is the biggest consumer in our economy. That's why if government delays a little bit in releasing their quarterly expenditure, you find our business is struggling because the government of Uganda is the biggest consumer in our economy. Now, why do we have procurement processes in government ministries, departments, agencies, local government that still allow someone to procure coffee that is imported, Nescafe, instead of procuring Jada coffee from our panelists there? So if you have a well-stipulated inward-looking policy that instructs government at every procurement process to make sure that you can only and only procure Ugandan-made coffee to a government MDA, then you are creating a market. If we force the private sector actors in the restaurant and hotel franchise to a law that says, if we come to Sheraton here and we find that you are serving coffee, but that coffee is not made from Uganda, we shall withdraw your operation license. Then you will see the private sector starting slowly to, embrace consumption and usage of Ugandan coffee. So for me, if they are responsible statutory organizations here from government, I think that is a point that they should take, that we need an inward-looking, demand-driven policy that can direct both the private sector and government consumption into consuming Ugandan-made coffee. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Herbert. I'm just going to take one more from that table. If your colleague can be very brief, we'll be able to get your comment.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. My name is Armungu Achel Mario. I'm an SF coffee farmer, small-scale coffee farmer from Zombo district. I'm happy that you should allow me at least say something, having traveled all this far to come for this dialogue. Yeah, because I'm here for that purpose. Number one, I'm concerned about the policy that is the National Coffee Act that is already in place. It is very good. But as a farmer, as a small-scale farmer, I would not really require a policeman to be on my farm, but to really enforce the issue of quality. But I feel we have got the extension workers who are there. They could handle that. So that at every parish, that is what we are already doing in Zombo, we have constructed what we call micro stations, where we bulk our coffee, where we do the processing, where the quality actually derives from. Maybe if government could really support having these micro stations, we shall be very grateful, and the quality will automatically improve so that we have good market for our coffee. I want to say something about the market. We are struggling as small-scale farmers, but at the end of the day, our poverty continues to remain in place. Why is it there in place? Because we have the middlemen who will buy even our coffee right from the garden. And by the end of the day, you find that a farmer reaps nothing, and the poverty continues to exist. So government should also help us. I'm talking in the perspective of being a small-scale farmer. That government should really come in, at least to regulate some price somewhere, which could help us really come out. But otherwise, we are toiling to really boost the middlemen to take over the issue of our coffee at that level in the garden. The next thing which I would also wish to talk about is the mindset of our youth. I'm very happy somebody from UNFE really talked big about that. we really needed to register our farms so that at the end of the day, when we grow old, our youth could really take over the management of the farm. But only that there is need to really make our farmers aware at their level. They needed to be sensitized, maybe through the radio, maybe through other sources that could really pass information to them so that at the end of the day, these farms should not die.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. And then we'll go to Honorable Nandala Mafabi, who would like to comment on some of the things that have been raised.
A minute.
Honorable Mafabi, just a second. After this comment, then you're going to speak.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I can sit. It's okay.
Yes, very quickly, sir.
Yes, very quickly. Thank you very much. My name is Hakim Valiraine. I'm a smallholder farmer from eastern part of the country, from Mayuge district, but I'm here in the capacity of the national chairperson of Eastern Southern Africa Small Scale Farmers Forum, which takes over Zombo and many parts. We are in 54 districts, and our mission is to make sure that the small scale farmers' voices are heard and incorporated in all policies at all levels. And we are not only in Uganda, but even in other 16 countries, where I'm also the chairperson board of directors. I have just a few remarks to put across. One of them, that when we are talking at unlocking the potential for the value chains of coffee, we should put more emphasis on the production stage. This is where the value, this is where the standards and the quality will die from. Much as we are talking about exporting, much as we are talking about the processing, that value chain, where it starts from, this is where we should put more emphasis. But we thank the government and other actors who have done a lot. However, there is much emphasis which is needed in post-harvest handling, and the drying facilities which are being provided may be inefficient, because if there is no sun, it means the coffee may not dry and will get whatever, fungus, that kind of thing, fungus and that one. So if there were possibilities of establishing drying facilities at parish level, maybe solar powered, subsidized, the farmers would dry the coffee at a required moisture content, then that problem of drying would be history. The other one is storage facilities. You find that coffee farmers have coffee, but they are storing them in the same place where the goats are sleeping. Now, by the time when you take coffee for processing, you have the goat droppings and the coffee. Now, that one, the quality is already compromised. And now the standards are already compromised from that stage there. Then the other area is the infrastructure. When you go to Zombo, there are coffee farmers on a certain hill, but coming from the other hill to this hill, the roads are very poor. It is rainy. The farmer cannot sell coffee this side. Government has not done more on working on the infrastructure in these areas where we have coffee. So there is no way coffee, the value chain will be unlocked when there are even some of other farmers which can even not access the primary market. Then the other part of which should be addressed is processing. If processing should not be at certain places, even at the farm level, farmers can do the processing of their coffee and earn more, not only earning from the selling of the products, but even the one which has been added. They get a better premium. That area there would work out very well. This is my request to a concern, the Export Promotion Board. One time I'd gone to Masaka for a dialogue on the coffee, and I met some white guys who had come also to Masaka. They had come to buy coffee. I do not know how do you regulate the exporters of coffee to the outside market? How do they reach the farm? In that, when they reach there, they wanted organic coffee. And how do they identify that this is organic coffee? They go to the farm, you tell them I'm growing organic coffee, say thank you. Then they come to your farm and ask few questions, just few questions. How long has your farm existed? You respond. What inputs do you use? You tell them you don't know, because you don't know what they want.
tell them I use glyphosate, I use DAP, I use urea. They say thank you, and then they go. Later on, they tell you you are not an organic farmer. So how do you regulate organic coffee and inorganic coffee as export promotion board? And what is it that is required in Europe?
Okay.
Isn't there a problem in the handling of inorganic and inorganic inputs at the farm level? Isn't it spoiling the market we have, largely as Uganda having the best coffee? Don't we need some way of regulating on the use of inorganic inputs, since we already have a market that we have organic coffee on the market? Thank you, though I had more, but let me end there because the moderator is very hard on my neck. Thank you very much. I submit.
The moderator is a good man. It's just the time. The time is the problem. Honorable Nandala Mafabi. Honorable Mafabi. Technical team, is he there? Okay. Honorable Mafabi, I think we are. If you could unmute, we shall be able to hear. Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to say thank you for this opportunity again to discuss coffee. But we've been very glad if the colleague who mentioned environmental which does not have to mention the exact order, then we'll find out. But I want to make a few things. One, government should come. The reason of why they do it is because no single farmer, most small cooperative unions, or an organization of other people can really market profit in an international market. Because the cost of marketing is too high. That's why one is beating us. Because the government took initiative itself to lead the marketing of coffee in Europe and in America. And that's why you see some of our coffee, which was selling is taken to Uganda, through Vaalue, and it's exported as well. That's number one. Number two, if you look on the New York, you will get this thing. That's what the version this is available, and another day that's making a compact certain a good farmer who knows that we still have British analytic of a simple double great base. Three, the mushroom when they came here, they said they wanted to be produced for them to take. They like to have. If you take coffee, you don't have to recover it. So, because I had to over it. The purpose was that the coffee should be taken at the beginning from the West. Now, if coffee have over it, why are the drinkers taking a lot of it? Why are the Americans taking a lot of it? Yet they have the basic medical facilities to tell them that if you take coffee, you have to have it. What should be done? And this should be again a policy by government that coffee should be drank in big quantities because it's medicinal. I tell you, if government of Uganda send every department to ensure Ugandan coffee will be collecting local markets. We're not bringing this gas. If you bring this gas, it's better to put some milk, have to put sugar. Coffee is not supposed to be tracked with milk or sugar. Anyone put milk is not a drug. Coffee is supposed to be taken as it is. And if you took coffee which is from, let's say, give us, we will just cooperative union produce airborne pride. Why do you advise members? You take over supermarket, they don't call airborne pride. I'll share the picture of this to you. You take it. You don't need sugar. You don't need honey. You don't need milk. So government should tell all departments that from now on, consume Uganda. Then you get rid of this poor quality of Nesca. Even if maybe one of that they get chocolate milk, and they buy the one which is invented and that one which is mostly related to human consumption. So, drying of coffee is being done back with the knowledge of PCBA, with the knowledge of government. What am I saying this? Patrick said he didn't wait again. He showed front in the back of drying coffee. Who does the that coffee the concern? Because if you put coffee on grammar, even near grammar, and I read such a situation, because that coffee is for human consumption. If you put it down, if you put stones, but it is very also in government level, should you find on roads like cement, like in soil or report. And when it comes to care, you are supposed to buy that coffee and a bunch of people. Now, poor regulation system, poor monetary system, and measurement. The case of coffee can be related to made in Chad and Kenya. You recall why they refused to Kenya are made in Kenya. What happened in Kenya wanted to go fast and brought a drug. When you put in coffee, within 6 hours, the coffee will be dry. Yes, you have to give medicine. And that's why they rejected it. And that's what's applied to coffee. Because of again, you want to make money here and there. I want to speak of medical because for example, International Coffee Organization. Don't mind taking for it, I've never been there. I went there in 2008 and I went there in 2009. And I told the UCDA and the government, they had a organization, they begged. That's the place where you go. It's a place where people come, all take, enjoy themselves in Uganda and Vaalue. I'll explain why. International Coffee Organization is made at a regulated. That's a regulated. Nor a market here. That's the market coffee. So what does it do? It was that organization where we come and we want showcase. I from Ghana and producing coffee. I from America and buying coffee. And that's why members of the America German address. Why did they need players like America leave? This is called International Coffee Organization. It's clearly shown that this institution has abandoned its purpose. It was basically there for quota. But quota left. So now, it is time now, we as Uganda, which is government of Uganda, to inform directly to the consumer.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Don't worry, I'm pending there. I told you, I am pending there. So, if we could go to that table, which hand is up there? Is it one hand on this table or two hands?
Okay, there are two hands on that table. The table over there has one hand, and then we will come to that table where they're almost saying, way. But please don't.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Mutale Salmat from the Environment Shield Limited. Mine is just a question. The farmer over there from Mubende spoke about being affected by the long droughts. So my question is, what is government doing to help the farmers who are affected by the climate change to practice climate-smart agriculture methods? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that question, and thank you for keeping it brief.
I'm called Stephen Wabusani. I work with the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives in the Department of External Trade. Sometimes it becomes quite challenging when you hear from number one to number last. We are all calling for government intervention. When you are listening, you even feel like you cannot even speak. But at the end of the day, we are not supposed to be under the carpet because the government is here, one, to regulate, to help and promote, ensure that we monitor policies and then things go on well. I don't think there is any government that doesn't want his people to be okay. And that's why you see that there are deliberate programs that they are coming on board. I think this meeting is coming at the right time after passing on the Coffee Act 2021. It is coming at the right time. You know that from history, we have been having issues, more especially when on our policies, more especially when we said there is a pure liberalization. You will all agree with me that pure liberalization even made the farmers to uproot the coffee because they found it very difficult to market it. If we could see that the Bugisu Cooperative Union, which is being held by Honorable Nandala at this particular time, has had a lot of support from the government to ensure that it remains where it is. But because the deliberate effort is that the Coffee Development Authority has been given now all the mandate to see that they bring out programs that they can take farmers from now onwards. There's a project which is still going on called Markup under UCDA. That was a government program to ensure that the seedlings are given out, and after seedlings, we are now going to monitor and ensure that coffee steadily is marketed and it is taken to a high level. We appreciated that under partnership development model in the Bugisu area under Mubende, I think coffee is going to be one of the priority areas where government will come in and ensure that farmers are taken through at the parish level. If they want the inputs, if they want the seedlings, you want this one here to ensure that coffee is taken to another level. I think we all agree now that Uganda, yes, at the global level, we are not doing so well when you compare the coffee with Vietnam and other countries. But at least in Africa, we are doing much better. We might be ranked among the first countries that are promoting coffee, and we are exporting coffee. But it's not enough. I think we need everyone who is here, or at a smaller scale, or another person, that we put these ideas together, like what Siatini has so that instead of only coming out sometimes to criticize and whatever, let's say, please, I like our sister, who came out and said, please, why don't you just export even a package alone from China or wherever? You'd have added on value for our coffee. Marketing of coffee within it has been very difficult because coffee is expensive itself. Coffee itself is a very expensive mineral. It's like a mineral where it is highly needed. A farmer is getting coffee at around maybe 11,000 shillings. By the time coffee goes out, you'll find that a kilo of coffee is over 100 and something. When you look at the processed coffee, it's over 100,000. So it becomes very difficult that you find someone locally is taking what is marketing coffee here because it's not even enough. So we need to ensure that the coffee is promoted at the production level and that it goes high.
All right.
We should all appreciate that. Thank you.
But before you pass the microphone on, there was a question from Herbert in relation to regulating inflow.
Maybe I didn't get it. You can maybe...
Well, Herbert said one of the things we have to do to promote coffee internally is to regulate the coffee that comes in, and whether government can come up with a policy where, for example, the ministries, departments, and agencies are required to buy Ugandan coffee. That establishments like hotels, restaurants, cafes actually use Ugandan coffee.
In fact, okay, I got him. I got him what he said. It's some you know what it's called by NDP or maybe retaliatory. Once the government comes out and says this is what we're doing, we are under different organizations. For example, right now we have negotiated a number of agreements. We are even under World Trade Organization. We are governed by World Trade Organization agreement. We are governed by CFTA. We are governed by EAC. We are governed by all this. It is very wrong for the government to come out and say you are going to put a certain policy in to regulate. Other countries also retaliate. The most important thing we can do is to ensure that we use other means. Other means that we should ensure that our coffee is properly marketed within. Once our locals accept the consumption of coffee as one of the product, and we remove out the myths that when you take coffee you get high pressure, you get whatever, I'm very sure it's going to be one area that is going to be very, very important for us. So we shouldn't go into areas where we are going to create other problems.
Okay.
You're getting me? For us.
If I may ask, as we promote the boo-boo policy, does coffee stay outside of that? Or if coffee is included, what are we doing to make sure that there's also boo-boo when it comes to coffee? Because even as we talk about Uganda's not really taking coffee, go to the supermarkets. The Nescafe is flying. Like, people are taking the Nescafe, which is a lot more expensive.
I think I've just mentioned that our coffee is number one, pure coffee. When you look at the coffee from this region, which is organically grown, it is a very expensive coffee. You're getting me? The only thing that we can do is to promote our coffee within. The reason why we have Nescafe and other coffees that are coming in is because you cannot match with our coffee. So coffee is taken out, processed it, fine-tuned it, and they included a lot of some small things into Nescafe and find itself here. But we can find a way of how we can promote our coffee by increasing the production. Once we have enough coffee production, then even the coffee which is going outside will be enough, and we shall have enough consumption of coffee.
All right.
Thank you.
Let's go to the table behind there, and if I am still correct, we just have one hand. Oh, are you going to keep it brief? You'll keep it brief. But usually after they get the microphone, they forget that they promised to be brief.
No, it will be very brief. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alice Ndagire Karibwende from Uganda Investment Authority. And I just wanted to encourage most of the members here to come and apply for the investment licenses, because this helps when they are exporting their coffee. I'm available. I'll give my contacts, and if anyone wants to apply for it, it's very free and available. Just one question. I was very interested and wanted to hear about where I haven't heard anyone talking about the stand of how Uganda left the International Coffee Organization. The impact may not be felt now. Are there going to be any repercussions? How Uganda Export Promotions Board or UCDA can help us briefly touch this?
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
3 people have spoken about it so far, but probably not from the angle you want them to. But okay. So over there, I think it's just the lady who has her hand up. I will take it that you are the representative of that table. So please speak for your people.
All right. Thank you very much, moderator. Mine is more of an observation.
Would like to get your name, though.
All right. Judith Muvara is my name, from the African Youth Movement. I have 3 concerns, but I'll try to make it brief because I've been preempted by the previous speakers. One, about opportunities, though our friend Jackie disagrees with the opportunities available in the coffee sector, but I think he mentioned something to do with the parish development medal, which is one of the opportunities in there. The parish development medal is the theme is to transform subsistence farming from and create through increased production and productivity. So I think I call upon the coffee farmers to go and make use of the same at the parish level, so that they will be assisted in that aspect. And then I want to also bring out the Harvest Money Expo, which is starting tomorrow on the Friday 18th, and the training schedule about the coffee value addition will be on from 9 to 11 a.m. tomorrow morning at Kololo Airstrip. So you people that need information on the value addition on coffee sector, can please go ahead and attend as one of the opportunities. Another thing is about the coffee quality control. I think the moderator asked about it at some point, but I don't think it was really exhausted. But one of the points I have on that is I have had the opportunity to peruse through the National Coffee Act and specifically Section 40 of the Act, which mandates the UCDA to develop the quality of coffee and the coffee standards by taking into account the international and regional coffee grading and certification standards. So it's very unfortunate that we do not have a person from the UCDA, but they are promised to come. But that is one sector. I think they need to be held accountable to that aspect because it's mandated to do that.
Okay.
And another thing, people have been raising concerns about the youth involvement and participation in the coffee value chain. We cannot all be farmers, like someone stated, but the youth can participate in very many ways in the coffee chain. Okay. For example, coffee roasting, marketing, and all the same. So the youth can still participate in that aspect. Thank you very much, Moderator.
Thank you. You have actually gotten a clap from Jackie, who you say does not agree with you.
Thank you very much. My name is Brenda Kankunda. I am a policy analyst on trade and investment, and I work for Siatini, Uganda. I have quite a number of issues, but I will try to summarize them. Like the ED, Siatini talked about it briefly. We all know that Uganda is still trapped at the lower bottom of the value chain, and there are several reasons why we say that much as, for instance, we see that our exports for coffee keep going high, we still see that we are still trapped at the lower end of the value chain. But I want to point out a few issues. Jackie talked about the middlemen, and she says we can't do away with the middlemen. We entirely agree. But I think it is important that we have regulations for these middlemen, and I think it's a point that was hinted on by someone. The other issue is on the liberalization, but I'm glad that Patrick Soita from Mbale talked about it, so maybe even if I skip it. When you look at countries like Germany and Italy that do not even have a single coffee tree, but they are the leading when it comes to exporting coffee. It shows you how much last year I visited Kaweri Coffee Plantation, which is, I think, one of the largest in Africa. And one of the things I realized is that with all the capacity that they have, they do not process coffee up to the last stage of the value chain, meaning they actually also export coffee while it is they export the raw beans, yet they have all the resources, and they are a company that is operating under a German mother company because it is a Newman Cafe group. Now that shows you why we have some of these challenges. And the other thing, I just want to put my voice on Uganda withdrawing from ICO. I know it's something that has a lot of sentiment.